from, oh yes, thank you for recording. We are recording the first hour today and we'll upload that into ECBC. Oh, and before I forget as well, we have also uploaded today's PowerPoint for the first hour in the ECBC SharePoint as well. So you can access it there under January 5th. So we'll hear from MyVault, from a parent, from one of our districts, and then from our expert and colleague, Beth Gruby from DHS, and to learn more. And then we'll go into our breakouts. Okay.
All right. Hi, everybody. This is Alyssa Klein from Department of Employment and Economic Development with Vocational Rehabilitation Services. Before we get into our main presentation on MyVault today, we just wanted to update everybody on data and where we're at, because of one portion of what we do with ECBC is track the number of students that we work with in 18 to 21 transition programming that gain competitive integrated employment while they're in school. And so I'm just going to review a few things with you. I think it was the last meeting. I get everything kind of blurs over time, but I believe it was the last meeting that we shared this slide, because this was the data from last year. And if you all recall, and I'm gonna show you where in your workbook that you'll be tracking data, but in there's 4 data points that we're asking you all to track. And the first is the number of students who are in 18 to 21 transition programming that are employed. So last year we had 359. And then of that number, how many of those students have a primary disability category of developmental cognitive disability, DCD? And then of that number, how many were new employment? How many started that employment in this school year? And then of that number, how many have DCD as the primary disability label? And again, a big piece of that to remember is that with our Minnesota Olmstead plan, we are required to report on that number, that 2A, annually, June 30th of every year. And so there's the Olmstead sub-cabinet that gives us our orders, which is last year and then again this year, that we need 150 students with DCD to obtain competitive integrated employment. Of course, we didn't get there last year, we got to 52. And, you know, understandably, tough year. This year is a tough year as well, but we're gonna try our hardest. You know, they're still looking to us to do our best to get there. And so that's a big part of all of our work together. So on this slide, there is a link to last year's spreadsheet if you wanted to look more at that data. But now we'll go to this year. So that was last year. Let's talk about going forward. So we just want to, at these meetings, the remainder of the year is just be looking at where we're at with our data. And I'm going to pull up the spreadsheet in a moment, but you'll see so far this year, we have 93 students that have obtained employment. Of that number, there's 13 students that have a developmental cognitive disability. The total number of that gained new employment this year is 45. And then of that number, 19 students with developmental cognitive disability. So we're on our way, got some work yet to do. But part of it is that we don't have everyone's data yet. So let me just pull up the spreadsheet real quick here. So again, it's linked on that slide. I'm gonna pull this over here. So you'll see that there's 4 tabs on the bottom with each of those goals. So we have, goal 1, goal 1A, 2, and 2A. So on this page here, we have all of our teams that are engaged, all of our community teams with ECBC. And you'll see where we have everyone's goals. Just a moment, sorry.
So as Alyssa was saying, we have everyone has their goals. Okay.
That's for everybody. Yeah. you know, working from home, how that works. But yeah, everybody's goals for each of these goals. And so we added them in there or put them in there. If something is not correct, you're welcome to update it on the spreadsheet. Otherwise, Lindsay and I are going in to everyone's workbook before each of these meetings to update it. So please make sure you're going into your workbooks to update the data, and then you can see where we're getting those totals at the bottom. So that was goal 1, and then we have goal 1A and so forth. Okay, I'm gonna go back to our PowerPoint. So again, as reminders related to that data, so this is the page, it's called the student tracker in your workbook. And this is where we are getting all that data from. So again, 1, 1A, 2, and 2A right there. So make sure that your team is setting goals and that you're tracking your progress to date there.
Alyssa, if I might chime in, and just a reminder, so like Alyssa said, we do go into the workbooks and make sure that everyone's data is in there and take that out. Just a reminder at your monthly community teams meetings to be going in and updating that at least monthly.
Thank you. So the next slide is just, I won't go through too in depth, but it's something for you to refer to of what exactly, how you figure out what, you know, the definition of 1, 1A, and 2 and 2A is. So I'll just go through number 1 here. Number of all age 18 to 21 students in 18 to 21 transition programming who have been employed during the current school year. And again, the current school year, we count from July 1st through June 30th. So it's really a full calendar year, but we call that this school year. So anyway, you can refer to that. Gives you a little more detail of how you figure out those numbers. And that's all I've got. So I'll hand it over to Lindsay.
Right, thanks Alyssa. So the next part is we're gonna take a little bit of a deeper dive into MyVault. And before we do that, we just wanted to remind you that if we go to the next slide, actually, wait, Alyssa. Yeah, we're gonna do these before we do our parent representative, right? Okay, so just to remind you at your monthly meetings, because we really just want to keep recapping so that we're being super, super clear. So just a reminder at those monthly meetings to keep updating your milestones. And then as we talked about, if we go to the next slide, talked about making sure that in your workbooks, you are updating those milestones. And then we included the ones from last session on that checklist where we all have under the community teams section in the milestones of those 3. So this is really just a reminder to keep updating. And then if we go to the next slide, this one, oops, I'm sorry. Did you want?
No, I just wanted to just emphasize because we're going to be talking about MyVault today. And one of the items is, you know, you're creating MyVault accounts with students. And so that's why we kind of put that on here because this is just really important why we're digging in so much to MyVault. So sorry.
No, thank you, Alyssa. And I feel like too, even when we were reviewing, it was like, oh my God, this is so exciting because today when we're going into MyVault, we're hearing from all sorts of different perspectives of how you could use the MyVault and also to maybe overcome some of the barriers that you might come across within your districts. So it's really exciting. And then our last reminder, and we'll get more reminders in your breakouts, but our last reminder is under that action plan. And so just to remember, we did have specific ones that you could have added from the last one, but then to continue to update those action plans at your monthly meetings, you'll have time to look at your action plan in your breakout session today. And then, yeah, we'll keep updating those action plans, the steps that you need to complete them. And then I'm going to turn it back over to Alyssa to introduce Jenny.
Okay, so we're really, as Lindsay has said, we're really excited today to have some guest speakers here today. to talk about their use of MyVault. And I think it will really help contextualize, like, you know, for all of us, like what we can be thinking about in terms of using MyVault. And so first of all, we have here today a parent. Her name is Jenny Smith. And she's going to just talk to you a little bit about how she, as a parent, has found MyVault to be useful. And she has a few slides here today. So if Jenny, if you're there, I'm going to hand it over to you to say a little bit more about yourself. And I want to thank you for being here today.
Sure, no problem. It's great to be here and working from home also. And the last time I actually tried to talk about the vault to people, my brand new puppy jumped on my desk and tipped over my drink, and it was all over the place, and it was terrible. So I have the door shut today, and hopefully it will go much smoother. So yeah, I am a parent with two, now they're grown. One's 31, the other one's 33. As they get older, I forget how old exactly they are, but they're two boys that both have Fragile X syndrome, and you know, they went through school and had the IEPs and all those things, went through the transition programs. I think as a mother, what I always found probably the hardest was, you know, wanting them to be as independent as they could be. But also a lot of times I noticed I was being asked for forms, I was being asked for certain things, and I was always digging in a file cabinet to get to them. So as I learned more about the vault, I thought it was really a useful tool for a lot of parents. There's a lot on there. So one of the things that I did with my youngest one is we went in and did the planning path, which is the next slide. It really kind of helped to give a visual to things. So, you know, what's important to me? What do I want to be? What do I dream of? His was working at Target, and he wants to work as a cart guy. So it was kind of nice because it put him in the middle, and it had all these things about him and what he dreams of. So now if I meet with any of his team, or he decides to make that move into that type of a job, I can share that document with everybody on his team. And it's very simple because it's all in one place in the vault. So I thought that was, and it really made it more him than me. I can say, well, I have this dream for him, but it's his. So next slide. So there's 7 planning activities on here. And I really, I can't say enough about it, because like the second one on there that says get a benefit lookup. So when you go on there and sign up for the vault, and then you can go and ask for a benefit lookup, it takes 2 days. It can take up to 2 days. But when it comes back, it lists every single benefit they're on. So it will say how much they're getting in Social Security, if they're on a waiver, all that stuff is kept in there. Also, if they have some housing benefits and different things like that. So it's really nice to be able to share that as well. And that also, that information, once it's sent in, it populates into the other options and activities that are on the vault. For instance, they have estimator sessions. My older son, he's working more in the competitive world. And so knowing kind of like, I get this job, how is it going to impact all my other benefits? It's kind of a little bit like a teeter-totter. It's like as soon as he makes more money, some of these other supports and resources may go down, which is fine as long as he knows ahead of time. And so I think the piece that is really important is him being more knowledgeable about his benefits and how they all work. that he's not going to lose. There's such fear, like he could lose his benefits, his medical. What if he loses his medical? But now with this tool, the Vault, we can go in and we can get, okay, you got this job. Let's do an estimator session and figure out how it's going to impact all your benefits. And then he feels less fear, you know. So a lot of these activities that are there, you can do with them. For my youngest one, he has his disability is more significant. So it is me doing a lot of the stuff for him. But my older one, it's us doing it together, which I think is really helpful because he becomes now more knowledgeable. And at some point, I'm not going to be here. So it would be nice if he could do that. So if you could go to the next slide, does anybody have any questions so far? Or? Okay, good. So I already kind of talked about this estimator session. It's really, like I said, it's really helpful. It really does help to kind of go, okay, you're getting this job, you're in a better place than you were before, and look at, you're going to keep your medical assistance, everything's good. And it can also be if he decides, I don't want to be on Social Security anymore. Well, then when does my medical end? Will I still have my medical coverage and I can still try? So the estimator sessions can kind of really help with that piece. And the nice part is when you do that benefit lookup, all the numbers populate into it. So they don't even have to, you know, worry about that piece. Yeah, next one. So like I said, the other part I love about it is the files. It's just so nice. And actually, it's probably really nice for people who are voc rehab counselors and stuff like that as they're transitioning from school into voc rehab services. Our eligibility, a lot of times, we're looking for documents that can kind of help determine if somebody's eligible or not. And so looking at being able to share those documents and like from school, you know, those IEPs and those 504 plans, if they're loaded already as a file into the student's Vault, they can then take that and just share it with the voc rehab counselor or their case manager or whoever. And it's all in one place. So, and it's secure, private. They are the ones that have access of who they want to share it with and when. So I just think it's just awesome. I put the guardianship paperwork in there. I can put whatever I want to in there. And then I can have access. I can let people, you know, see it or send it to them through the contact list, which is the next slide. So you can build your whole contact list of all the people that you want to be a part of your team. So if it's a guardian, if it's the school, if it's, you know, their group home staff, whoever you want to be on that contact list, if you add all that in there, then it's so simple just to share one of those files with whoever's on your contact list. So, and then they also can share items to that as well. So I think that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions, definitely I can answer.
Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah, Jenny, I think just to hear from a parent and how you have used it is so helpful. I'm glad we're recording this. Hopefully you don't mind, like we could use this, you know, because I just think sometimes parents talking to other parents too. So if we can get more of that happening, I think just to get this going forward and getting more people using it would be helpful. So
yeah, I think parents just get overwhelmed with just the everyday life. But then you add in some of these tools that can make it easier. And I actually had titled this little PowerPoint, "A Life Made Easier," because I feel it is. If you can, you know, take some time just to do a few of the things on here, you know, it can be a lot of information, but if you just use a couple different things on here and got used to them, it can make a world of difference. So yeah.
Wow. I like Jenny, I was saying my cheeks hurt from smiling because I felt like everything that you said related, like I can put myself in a school case manager's position, like, oh my God. And you went through all of the different like activities that you can do, and then relating it. So thank you. I promise you guys, we did not like plant any seeds in terms of like what came out today. So it was really nice of what you shared. And it all really, really, at least from my perspective, resonated. Alyssa, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say, I think in some of the things that Jenny mentioned, in a little bit, Beth will be reviewing too. So that was perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate all your work to put that together.
Yeah. Bye.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to Sue, who is going to introduce our next presenter.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited for you to meet Shelly Erickson from the Burnsville BEST program. It's a transition program. Their program participated in the person-centered planning cohort. They are still participating. And one of the really fabulous, interesting things that Burnsville was able to do and Shelly's team was able to do is take some of those person-centered practice activities and align them with their school goals, their district goals, essentially, and really kind of say, these are the things we're going to use to propel things forward. And one of the things they've done a deep dive on in their service is getting kids signed up and families signed up and teachers signed up to use the vault. So I was going to let Sherry share her journey, because I think that's one of the questions we've all had is, how does this work in education? So Shelly, with that, if you want to say anything more about your fabulous program, feel free and take it away. Thank you again for being here. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm Shelly Erickson, and I'm the work experience coordinator here at the BEST Transition program. And I've been in the program for about 10 years now. And, you know, we were looking with the COVID shutdown, we were looking for a way to reconnect with our outside agencies. And so that's why when this was introduced at the CTIC meeting, the cohort, we thought, oh, this is a perfect way to integrate this into our pro-pay and the things we were doing here at school. So that's kind of how we got involved in it. And it's been a really good experience for us so far. And we're looking forward to continuing with it. And it was really nice to hear from Jenny and as a parent, because we're trying to involve, you know, our parents with the process as well. So if you want to flip to the next slide, I can talk a little bit about, you know, as part of our pro-pay, we do try to build goals that help work on our student improvement plan. And we just felt like this fit right into what we were working on. And we wanted to increase our students' ability to engage in our community. And we were already working with VR, but we felt like, you know, just having more connection with the county and bringing all of these pieces together would help. So if you can flip to the next slide, some of the goals that we wanted for, you know, our program and for the students, and it was that we wanted families to be better informed and earlier in the transition planning. And we thought that the vault was a good way for people to do that, and using the charting the life course materials as well as assisting families in short and long-term planning and being able to increase our knowledge of interagency resources. And then we wanted to be able, like I said, to strengthen and maximize our interagency participation with VR, the county, and just any other outside resources that we weren't using at the time. We wanted to be able to, we felt like we were doing a good job of delivering what we consider book work or, book services of pre-ET services to our students. And we do have community-based learning, for our students, but we weren't able to maybe provide them with as many outside opportunities to do maybe internships or outside employment opportunities. So we wanted to be able to increase those opportunities for our students. And we wanted to increase or have a seamless transition for them moving into adult services. And we felt like, work with the cohort would help with that. And we wanted them to have easy access to all of their transition materials. And so, as Jenny said, it's a good way to keep up with all of the materials that the students have, that for many of them, it's a, difficult process for them to keep a hold of some of those materials. And we've had parents and students call us 2 or 3 years later and, hey, can I have my, my last IEP or my last eval? And, we just wanted to make it accessible to them. And even though we give that all to them when they leave, something that they could hang on to or have a way to access it after they left us. Things that we didn't want for our students were for the families and the students wondering what's the next step for them. And we don't want them sitting home waiting for jobs or for adult services to start, and for the families to be surprised by transition planning. As silly as it seems, even though they're supposed to be in transition planning from 9th grade up, that always seems to be surprising to parents. That's been our experience long-term, that it seems to be a surprise when they come here. But if you want to go to the next slide. What we did was, as part of our CT work, we do have to kind of formulate a plan. And so what we did was we looked at the materials in the vault and charting the life course materials, and we just planned out what we were going to do with how we were going to integrate it into our monthly work. And there were some key components of charting the life course that we wanted to have done. And I know in November we had our I think it was in November, we had all of our students open a vault account. And then at our parent teacher conferences, we talked to our parents and told them what we were doing and encouraged them to look at the vault, and gave them all a brochure and a handout about the vault and how they could, open up accounts for themselves. But that was something that we kind of wanted to do with the students here at school. So we didn't necessarily push the parents into opening an account on their own, but because we wanted to do that here at school with the students. And we have successfully opened accounts for all of our students, as well as all of the teachers, of course, have accounts for their professional use as well. And
Shelley,
then,
how many people approximately is that?
we have I think we have a total of 29 students right now in our program, and we have four teachers. Four teachers.
Awesome. Sorry. Thank you.
No, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm just talking. I forgot to ask if there's any questions. So, then, some of the main things that we wanted to do were, of course, in a transition program, we focus mainly on employment. So we wanted to work with the employment section and have them go through the employment and do the one-page profile and do the employment trajectory worksheet. And as we're doing these things, we're having them upload, them into their vault as a file. And so it's working out really well. And some of the students already had resumes. So they've already put those into their vault accounts. And then I know I've been working with our VRS counselor, and she's sending over their employment plans. We're having the students upload those into their vault accounts. And so it's just working out really well. Something that I'm unaware of because we're new to the vault, but it was nice to hear Jenny say about making the contact list and everybody could share. So that's something new and was nice to hear, and will be something nice to share with my team. So, by the end of the year, we hope to get through creating a positive work summary for the students and have that uploaded. And then by May, we want to make sure that all of the students have everything, all their materials, from the Charting the Life course materials to their resumes, IEPs, their most recent evals, their VRS employment plans, and their reference pages, as well as student transcripts, anything that they might need leaving here to go into their vault accounts.
So cool.
I think I have one more slide. I can't remember what was on the back of it, but oh, I know, because in the past we've done the big binders, transition binders. We've had them create personal Google accounts, which was actually working rather well until the IT department, because of misuse of the personal Google accounts, they have eliminated the students' ability to access their personal Google accounts here at school. So now they can access their vault accounts, which worked out perfectly for us. So now we have a way to store all their information once again. So for us, it was a win-win situation. So I just wanted to, applaud that part of it, because now we have a way for them to access all their materials again. And that's really all I have.
Wow. Thank you, Shelly. I was sitting here and just thinking like, oh my gosh. And then when you mentioned like, we all used to create those binders and make sure everything's in there. And then when the digital way came, how do we do it that way? And seeing you guys do it in my vault, it just seems so smooth, so efficient, so person-centered, and really family-centered, right? Of how to help all of them transition into the next stage of their lives. So thank you.
Well, that's what, honestly, I can't, it just seems like such a win-win for us, for the parents, for the student, and of course we're in a learning process with it, but it really does seem like just the perfect gateway for the students to transition into their adult life and take all their materials with them.
Yeah. Any questions? Oh, sorry, Alyssa. I'm going to stop sharing so people can see.
This is Alyssa, and I just also think that it was cool to see how you mapped out the school year and all the different activities. And I think that, and the fact that you started off the school year with explaining what the vault was to the students and the families, and like so they knew what it was. Because I know there was the question about, do we need a release? And I know Beth answered that. I know there's questions though about, well, gosh, if we're helping students start vault accounts, how do we, parents need to know, or guardians. And so I think if there's, a more consistent way of like, we just let families know, like, this is a part of our programming. It's helping the student to have all of their information in one place so they can, have it for the future. I think it's just for families to understand what this is. And then when they can see throughout the year the different things that are coming out from it, and that can be shared with the families as you're doing that, I think that's so cool. So I just want to thank you for that.
Well, and out of our 29 students, we did not have one parent that objected to having a MyVault account for their student. And, many of them thought it was a great way to keep all the information in one. There were some questions about privacy and stuff like that, and we tried to answer them best we could, but I think as parents get more familiar with it, they'll understand that there is a privacy issue to it. And, a lot of our students are their own guardians, so they were able to open up their own accounts anyway. But for the ones that weren't, of course, we had to, access that through the parents and have them pick, an account for their student. But it worked out really well.
I guess I would add, one of the things I appreciate about Shelly and her team is how courageous they were, that they decided that that was a direction that they were going to head, and they didn't have to know every detail up ahead of time. They kind of just said, we're going in, and they're kind of learning and figuring out some things as they go. And it's worked out really lovely. But I think that is kind of the underpin, is just say, okay, we're going in. And I really want to applaud their courage. So they've done a really nice job. And the ability to link it to work that they already have to do for their district and for their agencies is brilliant. So thank you, Shelly. I appreciate that, and your team very much.
Well, thank you for all the kind words and all your hard work as well.
Oh, I wish I could give everyone a big hug. This was wonderful. And thank you guys. I'm going to, we're going to go back to our PowerPoint. I'm going to turn it over to our colleague, Beth Gruby.
Hi, thanks. See, Lindsay, I told you this was going to be so cool.
I was thinking of you in your email too.
Yeah, it is. So hi, everybody. I'm Beth Gruby from the Department of Human Services. And so I was just telling Lindsay how cool I thought it was going to be, because, we've done all this work to create the vault and start kind of trying to use it more. And so hearing real life stories about how it is working is super, super exciting to me. So thank you, Shelly and Jenny, for being here and for sharing your progress and the things you've been doing. So I'm going to talk a little bit. So you heard, how it's kind of working. And so I'm going to go through and just show you some more information and some more resources in the vault. So if you want to go to the next slide, that'd be great. Thank you. Then actually the next one, we'll skip over this one. Some of the information I put in the PowerPoint just so you guys have it. If you're not familiar with the vault, I know some of you are coming in kind of brand new maybe. There's information about what the vault is. So if you want to go to the next slide. And we talked at the previous ECBC meetings about how to create a MyVault account. So wanted to point you back there that information is out on the Hub website. So the link to the Hub website was on the previous slide. The instruction sheets for how to create a MyVault account are out on the website, and they're in this PowerPoint. So if you want to go to the next slide. Then I wanted to just help you understand where to access the information that we've been talking about. So Jenny talked about some activities, and Shelly talked about some activities that are in the vault. So this slide kind of shows you there's the main page of the vault. The planning paths are where the Charting in Life course tools can be accessed. It's also where that benefit lookup that Jenny was talking about. So I'll show you a little bit more about that. If you want to go to the next slide. And now I'm actually, I think I'll share my screen if I can, because this is, so that is where, what the screen looks like in the vault that has the work paths. And that's the one I want to talk to you about today. So I'm going to see if I can share my screen. All right. And I got to make that smaller. There we go. All right, so I can't see any of you because I'm working off a laptop today. So if there are any questions or anything, feel free to chime in. Alyssa, Lindsay, get my attention if I need
Looks
to
good,
pay
Beth.
attention. Okay, thanks. All right, so in the vault, when you sign on and you click on My Vault up on the right-hand side of the screen on the Hub website, you'll get this kind of, we call this the dashboard. So it has your information about your files and contacts are here, estimator sessions if you've done those. And then the planning paths on the top left is really the spot that you'll be able to go into and do a lot of things with the students you're supporting. And so right now we have a work path, which is what I'm going to go into and show you mostly. But I wanted to mention also the other paths. So there's the benefits planning path. And this is where what Jenny was talking about, where you can go in and do the benefit lookup to see what benefits the person has. They request their own information, and you can do estimator sessions to see what will happen to those benefits when they go to work. So that is there, as well as a housing path. Sorry, it's kind of jumping all over the place. So just wanted to point that out. So I'm going to go into the work path, and I have some samples set up so you'll be able to see what these actually look like. So the planning for work, we have a profile. So it's my one-page profile that I can go in, and in all of these paths, you just go in and start answering some questions. So it gives a little information about what the activity is. So in this one, we're going to make a one-page profile to let people know what matters to the person and how they can help. And just to be clear, what you would be doing, so you're helping students create their own Vault accounts. And then you would help them go in and do these activity in their own Vault account so that they have that information. And like Jenny said, and Shelley said, that they can get back to it when they need it. So whether it's while they're in school or after they graduate and they're out on their own, they can get back and get that information. So I also have some samples in my own Vault account. So you could do the same, go in and create some samples in your own Vault account so that the students and the families that you're supporting could see what that looks like as well. So this is Sam's one-page profile. And this is the result. So this is already completed, but I'll show you what it looks like to do it. So I'm going back and editing the one I already did. So here's the information. You just start putting in, you know, it's pretty self-explanatory. It leads you through. You can put in, I put in Sam's name. Together we would put in what information he wanted to put in. So we uploaded a photo of Sam. And then you just click next and kind of go through and start answering some questions. So what people like about me, what would make me a good employee? So this is just a quick way for people to get to know the person. And then also answering some questions about what's important to me. So earning enough money to pay bills, working with their hands, things like that you can enter in. So the next one is how best to support me. So some things that people need to know about supporting Sam are in here as well. And then you just click on next in the results. And it builds the one-page profile. So this is one of the Charting Life course tools that is available in the Vault. So that is a one-page profile that he could then share with other teachers, with his family, with employers, just with his case manager, his voc rehab counselor. And as we talk about each one of these activities, keep in mind that all of them could be put together kind of as a portfolio, so that the person has this portfolio with them that they can use whenever they need it. The next activity is my resources and supports. So this is the integrated STAR. For those of you who are familiar with the Charting Life Course tools, this activity creates an integrated support STAR, and it actually creates 2 of them. So you can see in my Vault account with Sam, we created the integrated support STAR to show what he has. And then we also created one to show what he needs. So it's important to do both of those. In the middle, we put the goal. So Sam's goal was getting a job that he likes and that he wants to do. And then we start talking about and just putting in, and the activity is very similar to the profile. I'm not going to go through each one because it would take too long. But you start, it asks some pointed questions and some gives a little bit of information, and then you just start typing in what is it that is about his personal strengths and assets. And so you're sitting down together and thinking through, what have you heard about? You know, what have your friends said about you? What has your family said about you? Talking about, you know, he's friendly and outgoing. He does have his high school diploma, and he has some experiences. And Sam was a real person who I met actually through my daughter's 4-H group, and he is working with horses. It was important to him. So we did this sample together. So then you start listing the relationships and the technology that Sam has, the things that in the community that he has, and then his benefits. So putting all that in there, and then in the same activity, on one side you have the has, and then what does he need? So he needs to learn more about equine therapy. He wants to get into that. He needs to make some connections with local barn owners. He needs some money management software, and he wants to get an Apple Watch to support that. So just filling in some of that information, and then having these stars can really help think through, you know, what supports does he have, and what is he going to need, and who does he need to talk to get those. So
sound keeps not working.
Second activity in the work path. The third activity is my vision. So this is one we're all familiar with. This is the life trajectory. We didn't call them the names of the Charted Life Course tools just because those names don't really mean anything to people. When they're coming in and into the vault, thinking of people who are using this on their own, if you say, you know, integrated support STAR, they're not going to know what that means. But if you say my resources, then that means a little bit more. It might be more intuitive, like, oh, this is where I'm going to go say what my resources and supports are. So my vision work is the life trajectory. And so again, you go in and just, it leads you through. It says the things that you want in your life. So your vision for what I want. Answering, you can put up to 5 different bullets in and put information in there that they want. So Sam wanted to work with horses, wants to work with his hands, wants to make enough money to pay his bills, and he likes supportive people. He doesn't want, so the next section, you go to the next screen to answer the questions. He doesn't want to sit around working at a desk and be around alcohol because he had some issues with that, and he doesn't want to get up early in the morning. So again, you just go through each one of the sections and enter stuff in. So then it gives you the things to do. He listed the things that he needs to do and the things that he needs to avoid. And so this one, I think I am going to just show you what it looks like so you can kind of get an idea. So again, Sam's name is at the top, and then gives a little prompting language about what do you need to do in this activity? What do you need to think about? So on the left-hand side, you put in what you want. On the right-hand side, you put in what you don't want. And you can start in either spot. So gives you some prompts. So we started actually with Sam, we started with what he didn't want. Right away, he said, I don't want to sit around all day. I'm not sitting. So we put that in the different things that, and again, there's up to 5 of them on each side. So you enter those in, and again, you just hit that next button. And then it talks about, okay, what are things you need to avoid and what are things you need to do? So what do you need to do to avoid, to not get where you don't want to be, and what do you need to do to get to where you want to be? And then you get the results, which we saw already. So it's a very simple a way to kind of lead you through thinking through the activities. The next one is build my team. And this is the one I'm so glad, Shelley, you talked about, you didn't know about the contacts and now you do. So that's another thing is as you start using the vault, you'll see more things that could be applicable. So, and like I think Alyssa said, not coming in thinking you know everything that needs to be done, just starting somewhere, getting getting your toes wet and figuring out, okay, we're gonna take this on and do it. So that is great. So in the Build My Team work, this is where you can start pulling some of those contacts. So the way the activity works, sorry, I have to go. And I know, guys, I'm sorry, it's jumping around a lot. The way the activity works though is when I have to edit Sam's because we already did one. But when you come in, it'll give you a list of possible people. So if I'm working with a person with a disability and they're thinking about going to work, there's kind of this set of people who they might have on their team that they need to consider. So people like a voc rehab counselor, waiver county case manager, job coaches, if they have school case managers, work coordinators, different people like that. So it will give some prompting language and then you click on the box and say, yep, I have this person. And then you can pull from your contact list. So if I say, yep, I have a school work coordinator, it brings up my contact list of the people that I've already entered in my contacts. If I entered them, then I can add a new contact and bring them into my team as well. That way I can have everybody who might be able to help me with my work plan. And then when I get my results, it builds a PDF. And, oh, I had to update my contacts. It builds this PDF and then I have that. So I've got, oh, here's my VRS counselor. I've got my case manager, my job coach, my arms worker, and another connection. My mom is on there as well. It tells me a little bit about what that person can do for me. And then I can print it out or I can just keep it in my vault. I can also share it. So up here, remember this little icon is the share and I can click on that and then I can share it with my whole team if I want to do that as well. So it's a great way. Yeah.
This is Lindsay. There was a question of, and I can't remember, otherwise I would put it in there, but on my vault, what was life trajectory? What were the person-centered tools called that the names were in the vault?
Sure. Yep. So the first one is my profile. That is the same. The second one, my resources and supports, is the integrated star. And it does tell you here, we did put that in here. So when you open up the activity, it does tell you what the results will look like. So it is in there. So my resources and supports is the integrated star, support star. And then my vision work is the charting the life course, life trajectory.
Thank you.
Sure, thanks for jumping in. So that is Build My Team. And then the positive summary. This one is only for professionals. So you have to have that Minnesota Employment Professional role. And it talks about that in the instructions on how to create your Vault account. It tells you how to request that role. So in order to get this positive summary, you have to be a Minnesota Employment Professional role in your own Vault account. The reason for that is because this is a tool for professionals to use to synthesize kind of what have you learned so far with the person that you've been supporting. And it really is intended to be a tool to help you pass information from one professional to another, to speed up the referral process, to not have to repeat things. That was a big thing of what we heard is a lot of people were saying, I have to repeat everything. And so this one just is really, you start going in and it asks different questions and start very concisely put in what you've learned with the person. So you would sit down with the person and just talk about, what do I want in a job? What don't I want in a job? What are my interests? All the things that, okay, maybe now they're going to go to voc rehab. what does the voc rehab counselor really need to know and understand so that they can really just pick it up quickly and get the idea of where the person's at. So that is another one of the tools. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. And I know I went through those pretty quickly. I just want to be sure you guys have an opportunity for questions. You also have samples of these are all in the PowerPoint, but also on the Hub website, we have samples as well. And I can we'll kind of put that together and can show you where they're at. So really just thinking about how you can support students in this. I think, again, having Jenny and Shelley kind of bring that together and just start trying things. And going back to the milestones, we talked about what the milestones are and your activity reports, making sure you're creating your own vault accounts, helping students to create their own vault accounts, and then doing some of those activities in there. So with that, I'm going to open it up. Anybody have questions? I did see there was one question that someone asked me privately. Let me go back. Oh, a question about, so security and sharing of information, that always comes up. So that release of information. So I want to make it clear that if you're helping the person create their own activities, their own documents in their own vault account, then they own them. It's theirs, right? And then it's up to them to share it with you and to share it with any other professional that's helping them. So no signed release of information is required with that. If they share something with you, so for instance, you work with them on the life trajectory and they share that with you, and then you think, oh, that would be a really great thing for the voc rehab counselor to have and for the waiver case manager to have. You can't just share that with the voc rehab counselor and the waiver case manager without a signed release of information. So really best practice would be that the person shares it with their own team members. And that's really what we would love to see happen. We know sometimes that's not going to work. So you are going to have to share information between professionals. And in those cases, you do need a signed release of information. So like if you're sharing, it's just like it is today. If you're sharing information with another professional, HIPAA laws still apply. The other question or the other piece of it is downloading information from the person's vault. So you will never do that. We don't go into each other's vault accounts. It's a little bit confusing. I know a lot of people have questions about that. So people can share their information with you. You don't go into their vault accounts. So, all right. Anybody else has other questions? You can certainly let me know. I'll be around.
Wow. Thank you, Beth. And it was super helpful too. And as you said, you'll see in the PowerPoint, the names of the documents correlate to the examples that are in the PowerPoint as well. So I feel like it was so helpful. And I loved going through it so that you could actually see the application. It kind of made me want to go back to the classroom because I feel like the MyVault would be so amazing to use. So thank you. And it brought it all together. So our next step is, oh, there is one more question.
Yeah. So question is, if a student starts a vault account using their school email, is it easy for them to switch their account to be tied to a personal email once they graduate? Ooh, do not start vault accounts with school emails. That is my biggest number one tip. Don't do that. If it's already been done, it's okay. What will have to happen is if you create a new vault account with a personal email, all the stuff in their vault account with their student email is going to have to be transferred. You're going to have to save it. That the activities don't transfer over. It's only the PDFs that were created. So really, really best practice is to create vault accounts with personal emails to start off with. And then that way they can have them, you know, for the rest of their lives.
Great question. Okay, so and if you have further questions, please, you can send emails to all of us. Obviously, Beth would be that primary expert, but we will answer your questions. Thank you to all of you. I'm going to put the links of the individual breakouts, your focus area in the chat. The first one coming through is high quality transition programming. And I wish I could talk and chat at the same time. Then the next one is embedding, I'm just gonna write CE. So it's customized employment, embedding customized employment. And so remember, you're gonna click that link and go, that'll bring you to your breakout. So that's customized employment. And then last but not least, we have our business engagement one. We will be, I can't talk and type. We will be closing this meeting. So if you do have questions, I'll do my best to check email, but to troubleshoot. Otherwise, if you're needing the links, they are still in the PowerPoint that is uploaded onto the SharePoint. And I think people, so yeah. Oops, I'm sorry, go ahead, Alyssa.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, so we all just go to our breakouts and that will be the remainder of our meeting, correct?
Yes, so we're gonna stop recording.